So, welcome, Sonja. It's a pleasure to meet with you here, and I'm already looking very much forward to have you in Zagreb at Gaia Yoga for a week of Mysore from the 23rd till 28th of September, and what is even more important, a week of yoga therapy teacher training. So thank you for joining me for this call, where I would love to ask you some questions about yoga therapy. Maybe let's just start with what is yoga therapy? Because, of course, some might say any yoga is therapeutic just by doing it, right?
Absolutely, yes. And I would agree. All of yoga has the capacity and potentiality to be therapeutic. As the world has accepted yoga more and more, I feel it is our duty as yoga teachers to elevate the conversation further and become specific in the way we use the modality of yoga to be therapeutic for people. So when we refer now to yoga therapy, we're really talking about deepening the use or the medicine of yoga. So yoga chikitsa means the medicine of yoga. We're applying the asana, the meditation techniques, the pranayama in a very specific way to help people with very specific ailments or life challenges. So whether they're suffering from heart disease or they have suffered a trauma in their life, or have chronic depression or an eating disorder, there are specific modalities of yoga that can assist them. And as we have all developed our knowledge, and as East meets West in terms of medicine and the ancient practices, we have discovered certain techniques work better for different that more and more medicinal in a way. We stay true to the yoga practice, but we realize, for example, that the full primary series of Ashtanga may not be best for everybody at different points in their life, right? And we have to adjust and change and use the science of our yoga to apply specific principles of healing.
That sounds terrific. And I would totally agree. I mean, you have to apply the yoga to the individual, right? Like who should teach it? Is it somebody something that is just relevant for somebody who really wants to only teach to people that need a specific therapy, or is it relevant to any yoga teacher that wants to evolve their teaching?
Well, I think what we'll be covering in the week and is the different elements of yoga therapy, so that you may, as a yoga teacher, decide, I would like to take this further. Or as a yoga practitioner, someone who perhaps is even dealing with a certain challenge in their life, you can decide to dive deeper into that one element. So I think with our time together, we are not going to necessarily all become yoga therapists. From the International Association of Yoga Therapy, it's about 800 hours. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't do that in a week.
Yeah, of course.
Right? But we can touch on different elements in a very specific way and in a very authentic way so that we can get a taste of it. It's like getting a taste of a good meal and being like, oh, yes, no, I would learn how to cook this even and eat it on a regular basis. So we will be the first module will be looking at a kind of an overview of yoga therapy and specifically what it's like to work in the one-on-one setting. That's different, and why that can also prove to have certain challenges when you work one-on-one with a person. So we'll be looking at that and kind of in the overview. And then we will be getting into even how yoga therapy can be in the medical setting and how it can be going into healthcare in different ways or different forms. And again, we'll touch on very large subjects, with just amount, I hope, to inspire people to take it further and decide, no, I want to actually do a whole 100-hour course in that avenue. And then we're going to go into the science of Ayurveda, and we're going to look into, because yoga comes out of Ayurveda, so we're going to look how that can be a lens in which we can help our students and help our fellow yogis and help them very specific ways in which we can govern the kind of yoga season for their body type, for their mental state, And then we're going to try to bring all of that together on the weekend and actually experience what it is to have a group class, do therapeutic yoga for the season, as we'll be going into the fall, and then also some deep yoga nidra meditation technique that's also highly utilized in yoga therapy, so that those that have been practicing and studying in depth in the week will also experience it as a student. And then, of course, people are welcome to come to the teacher training who, again, may have different interests or different challenges in their life. So say you are a cancer survivor, or you are someone who has an eating disorder, or something that you would like to learn a little bit more about for your own practice, for your own healing, then, with your blessings, I would welcome that person if you felt it was appropriate for them to come to the teacher training too.
Okay, so it could be for somebody who is just on their personal path of trying to utilize yoga practices as a therapy. It's we'll cover one-on-one sessions, how to apply yoga therapy ideas, I guess, concepts in a one-on-one setting and in a group class, and experience that on the weekend, how that could look like.
Yes. And also in the hospital setting, the clinical classes, which are a little more specialized.
So maybe explain that a little further, because it's like, is it for the patients in a clinical setting as an add-on yoga?
Yes. For example, I work at Lenox Hill Hospital here in New York City with cardiologists, and we've developed a program in that part of the course, how the class is done completely in chairs, as well as the meditation, the pranayama, and anyone who's had a cardiac event is invited. And we've actually done a study over 8 months and have had some incredibly wonderful results. And in fact, it's probably going to be published soon in a known medical journal, because the cardiologist decided to study what we were doing because we were having such great results.
Wow, I love that.
So yeah, that's how it can actually be in the hospital setting. Sometimes it's outpatient, meaning people who've been in the care of the doctor come back for their visits and then do yoga. Or it actually can be inpatient. For example, doing yoga nidra with someone after surgery, post-op. So that can be actually right next to their hospital bed. There's always a place to do yoga.
Oh, I would definitely agree. But it's amazing to see how actually it's really finding its place more and more into traditional fields of medicine, and actually any place of Western life now. Yoga is applied more and more and studied in this way. So I love that. Obviously seem very passionate about the whole thing. And I know you're an Ashtangi, you work with athletes, you work as a nutrition expert, you work with women's health, you work as a teacher for kids. What sparked your interest initially for this yoga therapy?
Why was I interested in becoming a yoga therapist?
Yeah.
Actually, I will have to say it was deeply connected to my own history of heart disease in my family.
Okay.
My grandfather died very young. He was and back in the day, he was also a banker, and he had a lot of stress. So back in the day, they said you should smoke cigarettes to release your stress. So he smoked cigarettes, and he had a stressful job. And even though he was very athletic, he had his first heart attack and stroke, I think, in his late 30s. So my mother and her brothers all grew up with their father in a wheelchair for a number of years, and then he did pass away young. And many people in my family have heart disease, and over the years, my mom was underdiagnosed. We didn't know it, but she had heart disease, but we didn't know, and they told her, there are various symptoms. Maybe it's depression, maybe it's acid reflux, until she had her heart attack. So when my mother had her heart attack, I wanted to be informed how to help her in Ashtangi, right? And I knew probably the primary series of Ashtanga was too much for her. And so that brought me on a path to go a little deeper and have conversations with her cardiologist. And that was my way in, because I wanted to help my mother. And in fact, she is living a vibrant, wonderful life. She does about 20 minutes of yoga a day, and it's a beautiful flow. She meditates, and she started a support group for women in heart disease. So it's a beautiful story, and that just led me to want to learn more and more. So the more I've learned about yoga therapy, I had to do different modules. So I've worked with people with trauma, people who've suffered trauma, and that's actually helped me a lot with the children in the inner city schools who often may not be diagnosed as trauma victims, but have symptoms of trauma. So that has really been an eye-opener to me, and has helped me tremendously in regard. Working with athletes, yoga therapy, we learn a lot from different orthopedists and doctors, and working with athletes. Right now, I'm actually working with some triathletes downtown. So the physical therapist and I share an office, so they can see their physical therapist and they can see their yoga therapist now. And in fact, actually, one of my star athletes is a Olympian runner, and the Nike coach was so happy because she shaved 6 seconds off of her time. And all she had changed was adding the yoga, so he was very happy.
Wow!
For her, that's a big difference. So so the yoga therapy, just in terms of improving alignment and different factors, stretching the muscles in a very healthy, balanced way, ability to focus and concentrate, has actually seen results as an athlete for her.
Amazing stories. I love that. Has the yoga therapy training somehow evolved the way you address certain issues in the Maestro room, or the way you teach Maestro in general?
That's a very good question. I have always felt that the beauty of Ashtanga, when it's taught correctly, is that it is a private in a group setting. And when it's taught slowly, patiently, it is highly therapeutic. And that, yes, in the past I would have never used props ever in a day, but now I'm open to using props, but I still do not force poses that shouldn't be done in the body, right? That I think is a given. Like we shouldn't be trying poses that are super hard because we want to look like someone on Instagram when we haven't done the poses before, right? Like there's no point to that. I found my time with Ashtanga has hopefully taught me quite a bit about patience, and really it's fine to have the travel and the journey of Ashtanga slowly.
Yeah. Well, I definitely look forward to see you being active in the Maestro room and at the Gaia Shala with the nice group of practitioners. And I look forward to the training myself. I mean, I teach Maestro, I teach group classes, I teach one-on-one. So I think this will really also benefit myself as a teacher and as a practitioner. Anything else you would like to add to the whole discussion of yoga therapy? Yeah. And maybe even if you can pinpoint a time in your life as a yoga teacher where it becomes more and more necessary to get into yoga therapy more. Is there such a time?
Yeah, I think so. As our world is evolving, yoga has grown. It's become $1 billion industry, which is wonderful, but there's no regulation. And a 200-hour in one studio can be wildly different than a 200-hour in another studio. And that's no guarantee that the yoga is being taught in a safe and healthy, authentic way and in an ethical way. And I feel like to raise the bar, and we do need to educate ourselves, and we do need to have some sort of organization that is really going to monitor and make sure that we are not only taking care of our students, but also ourselves, working together, because as we know, self-care is important for yoga teachers. And say you are working one-on-one and you're taking a lot of toxic energy in, if you don't have someone to speak to, a mentor, a community to speak to in a confidential and authentic way, then you also can become drained as a yoga teacher. So yoga therapy, believe it or not, a lot of it is actually about self-care and self-exploration. The deeper we take our practice, the more we can, in a healthy, safe way, help our students and help our fellow yogis. So I feel like it is raising and elevating what yoga is today, and it's really up to us. I'll just sell yogurt and Instagram clothes, or it could continue to elevate the conversation and evolve humans to live in compassion and joy and to raise each other up. And that's what I'm hoping we will be doing, working together.
Wow. Well, I think I cannot add anything valuable to that, so I will just leave it at that. It was beautiful. Thank you, Sonja, for the time, and I look super much forward to have you at Gaia, and Sandra as well, of course, and we'll be seeing you there with a beautiful group of students.
Many blessings. Love. Bye.
Bye-bye.